Hi, everybody. My name's Michelle. I'm a mental health therapist in Seattle, Washington, and I am here today to answer a question about ghosting. So, ghosting is unfortunately becoming quite a common phenomenon, I guess you could put it. So, today I'm going to talk about what it is, why people do it, and how you can cope with it if it's happened to you, unfortunately. So, first of all, in case you don't know what ghosting is, ghosting is when one person in a relationship completely cuts off all contact with the other person. They stop responding to text messages, emails, they're not picking up the phone, whatever it is, they have just seemingly dropped off the face of the earth and they're not communicating anymore with someone else. So, that's what we mean when we say ghosting. The lines of communication just get cut, and you have no explanation and no idea why this person just suddenly stopped talking to you in the way that they did. So, as you can imagine, this is understandably distressing and confusing for people when it happens to them because you don't get any sense of closure. You have no idea why the person is making this decision to not speak to you any longer. You don't know if it's something you did, something about them. You feel kind of lost and in the dark when this happens. So that's the concept that we're talking about today, is what to do when it happens that someone just stops talking to you altogether with no explanation for why. So, a common question is, well, why do people do this? Why do people ghost someone else? And I've really seen it boil down to two main reasons. I mean, neither of which are pleasant when you're on the receiving end of it, but I've seen two big reasons why. The first reason is because the person who's doing the ghosting did not think that they needed to tell the other person that this communication was going to stop between the two of them. They maybe thought that this was a one night stand. They maybe thought this wasn't serious, and understandably, the other person would know this wasn't serious. They basically just kind of, for whatever reason, think, I don't need to tell this person that it's over. Like, we met or we talked or we did whatever, and now I just know that it's done and we're not going to continue, and I just kind of assume that they have this understanding that it's the same thing. They just don't think they owe the person an explanation, really. They just think that maybe the other person's on the same page as them and that this is just a thing that's going to just kind of naturally fade and there's no reason to talk about it. So that's one reason, is they just don't think there's a reason to have a kind of closing sort of conversation. They just didn't think that it was necessary or that it needed to happen for any reason. The second reason that I see is that sometimes people are aware that it would be best to tell the other person in the relationship that they don't want to see them anymore, that they don't want to keep talking with them, that things are done. They understand that that's a conversation that they should have, ideally, and they do not want to do it. It's not that they're like kind of in the dark or oblivious like the first scenario I described, where they're just like, well, I didn't realize I needed to say anything to this person. They're like, yeah, I mean, probably I should say something to them, but I either am too scared, I don't know how. Maybe they could come up with other excuses like I don't have the time or whatever it is. So they're recognizing that, yes, you guys should have a conversation if things are going to end. But for whatever reason, they don't feel ready to have that conversation. Again, they're too scared, whatever it is, they don't want to say what they're really thinking or feeling up front to the other person. So both of these reasons, again, are sort of hard to swallow. But I really want to speak to what to do if you're on the receiving end of being ghosted, if you're the one who's experiencing this, because as I mentioned a little bit ago, it's really hard when you don't have closure and you don't get any kind of explanation for what's going on. So my guess is that chances are you probably tried reaching out to this person a few times, trying to get a response from them, trying to get some answers. And because they're ghosting you, you're not getting anything back. So, first thing I want to remind you of is to think about the two reasons that I just named and see if you think either one of those might apply to that person. It again does not excuse their behavior, it doesn't make it okay, but think about that. Think about, okay, do I think they're not talking to me because maybe they are just on a different page than me and they just thought this wasn't serious and I thought it did. I thought it was. Or are they doing this because I think they just might, be for lack of a better way to put it, a little too cowardly to tell me directly what's going on? Think about if it's either of those reasons. And if it is either of those reasons, that has nothing to do with you. That has everything to do with them. Them not being ready for a commitment or a relationship, them not having the courage to go through the difficult conversation of ending it, even though that would probably be very helpful for both of you, even if it's uncomfortable and awkward and hard to tell someone that. If they're not ready to do that, that's on them. That doesn't have anything to do with you. So it might be helpful to think about if either of those reasons apply. There could, of course, be other reasons, but like I said, those are the top two that I see. So see if either one of those apply for what your situation was like with this person. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. The other thing that I would recommend, if it feels comfortable to you and if it feels right to you, is because this other person isn't giving you closure, you got to do something to kind of find it for yourself. Some people do decide after they've been ghosted of like, okay, I'm blocking this person on social media so I don't see their stuff anymore. That's fair if you want to do that, to just basically get some distance between you and them. Some people also, and I recommend this if you feel comfortable doing so, not having it be too lengthy or too in-depth, but to send them a message in whatever form works for you. Text, Facebook Messenger, you could go old school, email, you could call them and leave them a voicemail, whatever you want to do, reach out to them in some way, and I would name what's going on. I would straight up say, hey, I see that you have not spoken to me in X number of days or weeks or whatever amount of time it's been. If you know the term ghosting and you think they know the term ghosting, you can say, it appears that you're ghosting me. I would name it. Say what it is. And then just say something like, I'm going to not reach out to you any further from here. And you can add on this last part if it applies. If you would like to reach back out to me again in the future, you can. And we can resume things from there. But this is the last time I'm going to make an attempt to contact you. I wish you all the best. So more or less naming that this is what's going on and telling them that you're not going to put forth any more effort. So again, sometimes it can be really easy when you're being ghosted to keep trying and keep trying and keep trying. But if you're really sensing in your gut, or you've tried a certain number of times and it's clear you're not getting any response back, send one final message and have that be the end of things and see what happens from there. So if you have a question for me, email it to me, nextchapter.michelle@gmail.com. Thank you, everybody. Bye.